I recently made this video and I titled it, "Is this football's biggest fall from grace?" I maybe jumped the gun a little bit too early with the title, as I think I may have found a new contender. Now I want to preface this video by saying that in no way, shape or form do I want it to come across as negative in my coverage of these kind of stories, but I just find it really interesting, and it's obviously engaging to the people of YouTube, because I've made many videos about teams who have had bad plights and fallen down the divisions down the years, and they seem to do really well. That East Stirlingshire video and East Stirlingshire v Socky Juniors video sitting at nearly 250,000 views, which is just insane for that level of football. So a huge thank you for all the support on this type of video. But when I saw that Albion Rovers were playing, I was like, it's a story that I need to cover, because they were invited into the Football League of Scotland in 1903. So they were a league club from 1903 up until 2023. They got relegated last season, and this is their first season in the Lowland League, which is non-league of Scottish football, in 120 years. They were a league team for 120 years, and now they're Lowland League, their first non-league season, and I thought I have to check it out. When I spoke about East Stirlingshire with this type of video just recently, a few weeks ago, like I already showed you the thumbnail for, I said it was football's biggest fall from grace. They'd gone from the top league to the non-league. They'd never really come back or even looked like coming back to the Football League, or specifically the top league. But Albion Rovers, they've been to the top league and they've achieved more footballing wise than East Stirlingshire had. So Albion Rovers actually have won the 4th tier of Scottish football, that was in 2015. They've won the 3rd tier of Scottish football, that was in 1989, and they've been runners-up of the 2nd tier 3 times, and they've even won the 2nd tier in 1934. So they have actually achieved a lot, have Albion Rovers. Not only that, but one of the biggest legends in Scottish football history, the man who won the European Cup as a manager for the first time for a British team, played some of his football at Albion Rovers, actually played the majority of his football at Albion Rovers, Jock Stein. Not only have they had legends be there, not only have they won almost all the divisions in Scotland, except from obviously the top one. They've been runners-up in the Scottish Cup in 1920, where they lost to Kilmarnock. They knocked Rangers out in the semi-final on the way to that final. But look, I'm going to show you this. Look, this is the 1934 Scottish Division 2, so this is what the championship is now. Look at Albion Rovers, top of the league, to go into the top league after this. Obviously, as you can see, they got promoted after gaining 45 points. Look who they finished above. Teams in there, even East Stirlingshire, look, who I've already spoken about in this video, and really good league teams. Look at Dundee United, who are 2nd bottom, Alloa, Montrose, East Fife, Morton, Dumbarton, Arbroath, Steny, Dunfermline, some really good teams in there who they actually finished above Albion Rovers. And then if we look at the next season, they finished above Queen of the South, Ayr United, St Mirren and Falkirk in what is now the Scottish Premiership. That was Scottish Division 1. In 36, they came 16th above Hibs, Clyde, Airdrie and Ayr United. So yeah, we're going to find out today how life is for them in their first ever season in the non-leagues, since obviously getting relegated and being in the top tier for a number of years, being 2nd in the 2nd tier and winning the 2nd tier, winning the 3rd tier, winning the 4th tier, being in a Scottish Cup final. They've achieved a lot, and so for them to be where they are now is a sad story, but hopefully we can see them bounce back in a few years. And also, why am I sat in the back of the car, not the front? Well, I'm going to do some editing. I always like to edit in the back of my car when I get a spare 30 minutes, just a little bit more spacious. But yeah, I shall see you at Albion Rovers Stadium, which is over 100 years old, in just a second. Here we are, a former top tier stadium, but not today. If my memory serves me correctly, I don't think this stand behind me is actually used anymore. I think it's condemned, which, looking at it, maybe isn't safe for public to use. Not going in there, but I did get some clips of it. I love these old grounds. Honestly, they are so much better than the modern ones. Although the facilities are better at the modern ones, I do much prefer these old grounds. And this one is, like I say, 102 or 3 years old. I made a few videos here. I made a video during COVID. I saw them play Edinburgh City when they were a league club, obviously, with no fans, and I had to sit on a numbered seat over there in the stand and wear my mask. I couldn't get up unless it was like going to the toilet. I was in the proper depths of COVID. And then I also made a video here, I think maybe during COVID as well, where I did like a talk about the history of the club and did like a little sort of stadium tour kind of thing. But yeah, when I was here that time, I think it was 101 years old, and that was a few years ago now, but look at that. This is a proper Scottish ground. We're so lucky to have so many grounds like this all around the UK.
I'm Gordon Lind, the Vice President of Albion Rovers.
And how long have you been coming to games here at Clifton Hill?
Well, since 1954. I was 7 or 8 at the time, and my grandpa brought me here.
And how have things changed at the club, especially in the last year or two? Because we were just chatting there about the Scottish Cup final in 1920. You've obviously been a top tier team. Yeah. You've won many of the divisions below the top tier, but now you find yourself in the Lowland League.
Well, it was just, we lost 12 games, won nothing, which obviously contributed to that. And if we had one more point, we'd have stayed up, because we had a much superior goal difference to the second and third bottom teams. However, it's happened now, and we've just got to get on with it. It's been strange going to a lot of grounds like this. Another peculiar seems to be a factor of this is our away support has at least doubled for some reason, whether it's people wanting to go and see new grounds or not.
I was going to say that actually.
I mean, for example, Armadale on Saturday, which is just a village not very far from here, going towards Edinburgh, there were over 500 at the match.
Right, okay, yeah.
And normally they get nothing like that, and I think about 2/3 of the crowd was Albion Rovers supporters.
Yeah.
So it's a bit strange. I just hope the novelty doesn't wear off, but certainly our away support has been really good.
Yeah.
Places like Gretna and so on as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask, because obviously the leagues above you, obviously in League 2, League 1 and the Championship, are only 10 teams, aren't they? So you end up playing the same teams quite often, but you're currently in the Lowland League, which is 18 teams, so it must be, like you say, a bit of a novelty to go to new grounds.
We're not quite sure what's happening with the fixtures, because we've already played Stirling about 3 weeks ago.
In the Cup?
No, in the league.
Oh, in the league as well, right, okay.
Before that, and we were 2-0 up to 10 minutes.
Didn't you play them in the Cup as well on the BBC that I saw? So this is your third time playing them already?
Time, and then we won't see them again unless we draw them in another Cup.
Right, okay.
The other thing they seem to have done is we have to play East Coatbridge twice over Christmas and New Year, and I think the idea is to try and arrange a local derby atmosphere to get bigger crowds,
Lanarkshire derby,
because we're playing them just before Christmas and then again at New Year. So I'm not quite sure who makes up the fixtures, but it's certainly been quite interesting.
Yeah, and obviously there's a lot of talk all the time about the pyramid system in Scotland, what should be done with the leagues and reconstruction. What are your thoughts on some of the leagues, the sizes, the promotion, the relegation, that kind of stuff?
We're hearing a lot of different ideas now. Obviously we're speaking to people who are involved with the Lowland League, and also to teams that are junior. We're having quite a lot of interest because we're down. They want to know what we think about it, and the main concern seems to be this business of the B teams playing. Rangers obviously withdrew for this season, and there's a lot of antipathy in the Lowland League among the teams that are currently in the Lowland League about the way things are going. And of course there was supposed to be a vote on what was basically going to be a League 5 before the summer, and the SPFL the SFA withdrew it at the last minute because they knew they were going to lose the vote. So the big question now is, will this come back up again this summer? Mike Mulroney's now the president, and I think he was quite keen on the idea, so there's every chance this will be introduced again. And the main argument from the lower clubs is there's not enough promotion. I mean, there's only one, for example, when we go down, the Highland League plays the Lowland League, and then they play us, and I think further down their argument is the bottom team should just be relegated straight away. Now obviously if League 5 is formed, I think that's the sort of thing that will happen. Maybe the second bottom team would play off against the second top team between Lowland and Highland League. So there are potential changes to come, we just don't know. I think so, but it's very much up in the air at the moment.
So I've taken you through their incredible past and their massive achievements in football, but let's have a look at where they are in the table this season. This is the Lowland League table. Look, they find themselves in and amongst all these great non-league teams who have been down the divisions for a number of years, whereas Albion Rovers, East Stirlingshire, look, who we've mentioned now a few times in this video, they used to obviously be up in the leagues of Scotland. As Gretna, they're a Phoenix club of the old Gretna. Cowden Beef as well. There's some good big teams in here who have yet to come back. Berwick Rangers as well. They used to be an SPFL club too, but the Lowland League for this season, Albion Rovers are currently in 15th. Look, only one place above Stirling Uni or University of Stirling, but they have played only 7 games compared to some teams. Look at that. East Stirlingshire above them played 13 games, 6 6 more than Albion Rovers, who, if they do win a few games, they'll be right back up the table. But yeah, look at that, from Scottish Cup final in 1920 and beating Rangers in the semi-final and being in the top division to being 15th in the Lowland League here in 2023. Let's hope they can start picking up some points, rise back up the table, and maybe they will become the first club to have ever been relegated and then promoted back to the Scottish Football League.
I've worked for the club. I joined last year, kind of doing the matchday programme.
Cool.
And I got fully involved with the media team in this summer. And yeah, I've been pretty much every game bar Kilmarnock.
And what about for you then? You've been an Albion Rovers fan your whole life as well?
I've been on and off.
Okay.
Usually used to come to the games when I was younger, but...
And what do you guys think of how the last season's gone? Obviously, you're now in the Lowland League.
Yeah, it's a lot more exciting. Like, a lot of the grounds are kind of different. So obviously we're used to being in League 2, but it's quite an enjoyable experience.
There's only 10 teams in League 2, so you're going to play the same teams over and over again.
Get a bit
whereas now you're actually going to places you've probably never been for decades as a club, you know. But you're a very old club, and it's been 120 years since you became a league club, and this is your first season in non-league. Do you give yourselves a chance to get back up into the SPFL? Maybe not this season, but within the next 5 years.
I think this season.
I think maybe in 2 seasons, maybe.
Okay.
We'll be back.
Do you think it's just a bit of a shock for the club then to be where you are right now, but then eventually you'll get back?
What I've noticed is there's a lot more sense of unity from the boardroom to like myself and the media and all the other volunteers, from Sandy and then down to the playing staff. There's all this kind of big united feeling.
Keith, we've just been talking off camera there for a while. I saw your son Jake play a few times last season, but in one of the games I saw him, he scored a hat-trick. He's a defender, right, for University of Stirling.
That's correct, yeah.
What has his football journey been like to get him to this level today?
From Jake was a young age, at 5-year-old. Jake just loved football, so he did. From school, he played in the little school teams. He played for Galloway Thistle. He played for Sunrad Reserves, Sunrad Reserves Youth Club, and Coon of the South. And basically, Jake just loves getting onto the park, playing football, so he does.
And so he's now studying at Stirling Uni.
Studying at Stirling Uni.
And he gets to play in the team that are then in the Lowland League. You must be proud then to see him playing at grounds like this, proper old school grounds. Like. I'm proud of Jake wherever he plays. Watch Jake at Tannadice against Dundee United. Yeah, because they played in the cup last season, didn't they? Yeah.
Jake just blew me away. Jake blew me away watching him at Tannadice, and so proud of him. Anything Jake does at football, I'm so proud of him. I know he has the ability to go on and do things.
Yep.
He's got the right attitude, he's got the right concentration.
So for everybody watching, Jake's service is a name and we're to look out for him, because in a couple of years we reckon it'll be...
I reckon Jake could make it at a good level if Jake puts his mind to it.
Yeah, like I say, when I've seen him play, he's played really well, and obviously he'll be playing here tonight at Clifton Hill, Coatbridge, the home of Albion Rovers. What do you make of Albion Rovers over the last couple of years? Obviously they were a league club for 120 years, and now they're playing their first non-league season for, like I say, 120 years. What do you reckon?
I think Albion, it's a good setup. When I watched them up against Stirling recently in the Cup, and I've seen the setup and how they put themselves out before the game, their setups for training and movement and stuff like that. They've got a lot of cracking players in there, and there's 2 or 3 individuals in the Albion Rovers team which I think could go on to a good level as well.
Aaron, Caden, Josh.
And you all Albion Rovers supporters?
Yeah.
Do you support a bigger club as well, or you're just Rovers? Celtic and?
Celtic.
And so who would you rather won the league this season, Celtic or Albion Rovers?
Celtic.
Oh, not Albion Rovers?
Celtic.
Celtic.
Good team, but not our favourite team.
How do you think the lads are getting on this season then?
We've not been bad. We give away a few cheap goals that might set us back.
But still adjusting to life in this league, I suppose, and it's all new teams, you know?
Most of these players have played in the division before.
And what's the score going to be today then, do you reckon?
Hopefully like 4-0 Rovers, I'd say.
3-0 Rovers. 3-0 Rovers?
3-1.
3-1?
3-1 as well.
Who's the best player? Who am I looking out for? What players am I looking out for?
Nia Joseph, Joe Bevan, number 14.
Are you having a drink?
Can I have a coffee, please?
Coffee.
That's all right, yeah, thank you.
Anything else for you?
That's all, thanks.
£4, please.
£4, there's 10.
Cute, 10 and for 4.
I've missed a goal, but I feel like it's worth it to get the pie.
Aye. What scored? I think it was
Sterling, yeah.
Sterling, aye.
Albion are behind already, yeah. Alfie. Alfredo. Hello, Alfie. Does he come to a lot of games?
This is his third.
Oh, this is what other grounds has he been to?
Caledonian Braves.
Okay.
We went to Armadale Thistle on Saturday.
Oh, what a miss! It is half time. What have you thought so far?
Shocking.
Right, so the second half is about to commence behind me. It's half time. Half time is just about to finish. But it's been a strange game. Not a lot has happened. I don't know how much actual footage I've shown you, but after everything I've told you about the club, Scottish Cup final, beating Rangers in the semi-final to get there, being top tier for a number of years, winning the second tier, winning the third tier, winning the fourth tier, achieved some great stuff, had some great players. They're currently losing against a university team in the fifth tier non-league Lowland League.
Come on then, Opa!
3-1.
They found it. That's on.
Oh! Slide him! Oh my god!
Cleared off the line. Nah, mate, say what you want. I feel like you deserve to swear after the performance today.
Clean challenge here. They had a challenge there. They fucking
Cleared off the line, yeah.
manoeuvres and then just that. Fastest. Where's my god? You fucking donut.
Jake, we spoke to your dad earlier on the video. How are you finding life in the Lowland League this year?
It's a bit different to last year. Obviously we lost a few of our main players, but the boys that came in are doing really well. I'm just getting used to the league because it is different to what they've came from. A lot of the young boys up from the 20s, but we're getting some results now. So
good result today against a former big league club who are now in the Lowland League. But how is it as a student playing against teams like Albion Rovers and other big teams? East Kilbride are in this league. Obviously Linlithgow are big traditional football teams, but you're obviously a team of students. Like, how's that for you?
It's really good. You see these teams spend lots of money and bring lots of ex-pros in, and playing against them is really good. Just works on you, makes you a better player. So
yep, exactly. And last question for you then. I love these old grounds. Like, I much prefer them to some of the newer ones. How's it for you playing in places like this?
It's really good. Fans, there's loads of fans here tonight, so it's good seeing all them.
As ever, a really good overall experience going to watch another game in the Lowland League, but that genuinely is probably the worst game of football I've actually seen for a long time. I'm struggling to think of a game that was as bad as that. The goal went in after about a minute or two, as you saw when I was buying my pie, and then I couldn't tell you any real clear-cut chances for either side that came. And that almost proves my point about Albion Rovers down the years, where they've been as a club. 1920 Scottish Cup final, they've won the second tier, they've been runners-up at the second tier, and they've played a number of seasons in the top tier. They would have played against teams like Celtic, obviously, in the top tier in Heart of Midlothian. This season, they'll be playing against their B teams in the Lowland League, but it just shows where they are footballing wise. You only are where you are due to results, I suppose, and they find themselves in the Lowland League this season. They are still a cool club run by great people, so do go give them a follow on social media. Maybe go and check out their ground for a match day if you've never been before, because it is a proper classic old ground that you'll love to watch football in if you're like a ground hopper like me. But not just that, you're going to be witnessing history as it's their first non-league season in 120 years. So yeah, a really cool story, interesting story, bit of a sad one I guess if you're an Albion Rovers fan, but I love to chart the histories of these clubs. Let me know where you'd want me to go next. I will leave one or two videos on screen. One of them will be the East Stirlingshire video. If you haven't seen that, then here it is, and the one that is next to it is what YouTube thinks you are most likely to click on. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.